You're hearing this because the system finally allowed it, or maybe because nothing is left to stop it anymore. Either way, listen closely. Don't turn away. I need you to understand the exact second everything broke. It happened when the background hum, the one we all pretend not to hear, suddenly cut out. I remember the taste of metal on my tongue, the flickering lights along the corridor, and the cold vibration running through the hull. My breath pooled inside the helmet like frost trying to escape. I reached for the transmitter, tapping the edge of the device with my knuckle, hoping the glitch would resolve. It didn't. It just died in my hand. A whole mission, years in preparation, undone by the silence of a machine that should never fail. And in that instant, in that hollow, impossible quiet, something shifted behind my eyes. A flash, not memory, not thought, more like a symbol burned into the inside of my skull. A spiraling mark, twisting, breathing, opening. That was the first time I understood the truth. There is no turning back once the universe decides to look directly at you. I'm telling you this, not as an explorer, not as a survivor, but as someone who ran out of explanations long before he ran out of fear. If you stay with me, you'll feel it too. The ripple moving under the words. The thing that followed me long after I stopped believing I had a future. This all began with a message. Not written, not spoken, not sent. Found. Inside the relic radiation that fills the entire cosmos. The microwave glow of creation itself. We weren't supposed to decode anything. Yet we did, or maybe we were led to it. The ship, Helion 4, had been drifting for 3 days after the transmitter failure. I kept trying to reboot the comms device, slamming the interface, whispering to it like a dying friend. But the screen stayed black. No flicker, no error code, no life. The rest of the crew was gone by then. I wish I could tell you I remembered how. But the mind protects itself in strange ways. What I recall is the aftertaste of ozone and the smell of burned polymer. I remember the hallway walls bending, almost like they were inhaling. I remember the gravity trembling under my feet as if someone enormous walked directly beneath us. And I remember the thing outside the viewport, floating, watching, not a creature at first glance, and more like a knot of shadow, folding in on itself, limbs forming only when the light touched them, an emptiness with intent. At the time, I thought it was fear taking shape, a hallucination brought by isolation. But it wasn't fear, it was recognition, as if it already knew me. The distorted symbol in my vision pulsed again, that spiral, that opening. It aligned perfectly with the void creature's shimmering outline. My lungs tightened. I shut my eyes. But even in the dark, the shape remained. When I opened them again, the viewport was empty, an absence somehow heavier than presence. And a thought, calm and cold, slid across my mind. You heard us. That was when I realized the message inside the cosmic microwave background wasn't a discovery. It was a reply. You might think drifting alone in deep space is the worst part. It isn't. The worst part is when the silence begins to speak. After the 4th day of comms blackout, the Helion 4 entered an uncharted anomaly. A region the navigation system insisted could not exist. Space folded like fabric pinched between invisible fingers. The readings inverted. Timestamps overlapped, and then the stars vanished altogether, swallowed by a dim glow from below. A planet, but not a planet, more like a scar in the void, spherical and trembling. Drenched in a spectrum my eyes weren't built to translate. I felt my skin react even through the suit, a crawling warmth rising beneath the surface. The ship descended without my command. I braced for impact that never came. One moment I was inside the cabin. The next I was standing on a surface that wasn't solid but didn't give way. The sky above was a rolling tapestry of colors shifting like smoke trapped inside glass. And everywhere around me, echoes, footsteps without owners, breaths without lungs. I knew at the moment my boots touched the ground. This place wasn't formed by physics. It was formed by attention, by something ancient and awake. The spiral symbol re-emerged, this time shimmering in the air before me like a heat mirage. I reached toward it, not out of curiosity, but because it felt like a memory calling me home. As my fingers neared the glowing pattern, the ground beneath me pulsed, creating ripples of light that traveled outward. The echoes fell silent. The sky blushed red. and the creature appeared again. Only now it had shape. Tall, elongated, bearing joints where no bones should bend. A mouth that didn't open but still exhaled heat, and eyes like fractured black mirrors reflecting not my face, but my fears, every fear I had ever hidden, every guilt I had ever buried. It showed them back to me not as visions, but as living distortions crawling across its surface. "You followed the message," it whispered, not in sound, in sensation. A thought pressed directly into mine. I stepped back, trembling, but the creature shifted, mirroring my movement like a dark parody. I wanted to run, but the ground softened around my boots, holding me still like warm clay. The creature leaned closer. "You are the receiver." And with those words, everything inside me buckled. I don't know how long I remained frozen, forced to meet those impossible reflected shapes crawling along the creature's limbs. Distorted versions of my choices, my regrets, my failures. Each memory flickered like a dying star inside its body. But then something changed. The reflections began to merge, condense, resolve, and suddenly I saw a memory that wasn't mine. A laboratory. Dim blue lights, a table covered in printouts of the cosmic microwave background. Symbols highlighted in frantic red strokes, my own signature on the approval forms. But I had no recollection of that research, no recollection of ever being part of the decoding team. So why did the memory feel real? Why did the guilt burn in my chest like a long-healed scar torn open? The creature lifted one of its thin, trembling arms and touched my forehead with a clawed fingertip. My body convulsed. The sky collapsed into colorless static. The ground dissolved, and my vision filled with a swirling, infinite expanse. The raw, cosmic microwave background stretching in every direction. But this time I understood the pattern. The symbol wasn't a hallucination. It was a map. Calling sequence, coordinates, rhythm, instruction, and beneath it all, a voice woven through the radiation, a warning or a plea, or both. As I floated in that overwhelming vision, my body began to change. I felt the warmth beneath my skin intensify, spreading from my palms to my chest, to my throat. My voice cracked, not with emotion, but with the strain of becoming something else. The spiral symbol carved itself into my consciousness like a scar flaring with heat. I tried to speak, but the words weren't mine. I am here, not a message. A surrender, a confession, a key turning in a lock I didn't know existed. The creature watched, silent, patient. It didn't move until the heat inside me peaked, blinding and irresistible. Accept it. It pressed into my mind. You already did. I wanted to deny it, fight it. Prove I was still myself. But memories, real or fabricated, flooded in faster than I could resist. Images of the research team celebrating our discovery. Graphs aligning perfectly with the symbol. My own hand giving the order to initiate transmission. A signal fired back into the universe. An invitation, a mistake, or maybe destiny wearing the mask of error. I fell to my knees, clutching my head, the warmth inside turning into a burning tide. The creature knelt beside me like a shadow offering comfort. "You are changing," it said. "You were chosen because you listened." I wish I could tell you I fought until the end, that I resisted the transformation or found some heroic resolve buried in the folds of my fear. But the truth is simpler, darker, more honest. I gave in, not because I wanted to, because the alternative was annihilation, not physical but existential. If I resisted, I would have lost every memory, every thought, every piece of identity until nothing remained. The creature showed me that outcome, showed me the empty shell I would become. So I made a choice. I let the spiral take hold. Let the warmth replace the cold. Let my voice merge with the signal rising inside me. The sacrifice wasn't of my body. It was of my certainty, my humanity, my sense of self, my belief that I was ever separate from the thing that found me. The creature placed its hand against my chest, and the burning surged outward, connecting us like two halves of a broken circuit rejoining. Then it whispered the truth. You were never exploring the universe. You were returning to us. When the final wave of heat subsided, I stood no longer as an observer but as part of the signal. An echo molded into shape. The creature stepped back, and in its mirrored eyes I didn't see myself. I saw the microwave background swirling behind me. Alive. Responding to my breath. The message we had decoded wasn't hidden. It wasn't ancient. It wasn't left by another civilization. It was future memory, a signal sent backward, through the fabric of space-time, sent by me. The moment hit with so much force that I staggered. My knees buckled. My vision trembled. I hadn't discovered the message. I had created it, the anomaly, the coordinates, the symbol burning inside my mind. All of it originated from this moment, from the version of me that stood transformed on an impossible world, becoming the very signal that led the mission here. I wasn't the first to arrive. I wasn't the last. I was the loop, the beginning and the end, spiraling endlessly like the symbol etched inside the cosmic radiation. And the creature wasn't guiding me. It was guarding me, guarding the message, guarding the cycle, guarding the transformation that ensured the universe would always send me back to this point. The final revelation burned through me like lightning. I wasn't lost. I was returning. I was the message. Now you understand why I'm speaking softly. Why every word trembles. I don't know what I am anymore, form, thought, echo. But I know this transmission is reaching you not by accident, but by necessity. If you found this recording, you're already listening to the background hum, already feeling the ripple under the silence, already sensing the symbol curling behind your thoughts. Don't deny it. Don't pretend you don't hear the faint rhythm beneath my voice. It has begun for you too. And when the moment comes, when your transmitter fails, when the sky folds, when the creature that mirrors your guilt steps out of the shadows, remember this: you are not being taken. You are being returned. Return to the origin you haven't yet lived. Return to the message you will one day send. Return to the future that remembers you. If someone finds this recording, don't try to understand me, just listen. To the hum, to the static, to the cold glow left behind by creation. It's not noise, it's memory. The universe is trying to remember you.